Greetings and welcome back to the No Channel. My name is Bernadette Johnson. I'm also known as Keziah or Kizzy. And today I'm coming to you with another video titled, See Them Upon the Stools, Birthing Positions in Ancient Times. Now some of you may not be familiar with this quote, see them upon the stools, but you will find this quote in the book of Exodus. Now, just to give you a backstory of this quote. Now, if you're reading the books of Exodus, this was during a time when the Israelites or the Hebrews were in captivity in the land of Egypt. And Pharaoh had issued a decree that all the Israelite or the Hebrew baby boys be unalived when they're born. And I'm saying unalived for a reason and not the K word. But he ordered that the Hebrew girls or the Israelite girls, when they were born, to save them. So this was the order that he had issued. So you will find this in the first chapter of Exodus in verse 16. And this is what he said. This is Pharaoh speaking. And he said, when you do the office of a midwife to the Hebrew women and see them upon the stools, if it be a son, then you shall unalive him. And if it be a daughter, then she shall live. Now he was commanding the Hebrew midwives to unalive the Hebrew boys when they were born and to save the Hebrew girls. But I want to take notice on stools. Now, the many times I read this verse, my eyes was just glossed over, see them upon the stools. But it was during a time when I was becoming more woke. And the organization that I was in fellowship with at the time, I believe it was the sisters was having some type of discussion. And they were discussing childbearing, women giving birth. And they were talking about the different birthing positions. Because I think some of them were probably expecting at the time. And they were talking about how the squatting position is actually the best way and the more natural way of giving birth. And of course, I always was brought up to believe that, the natural birthing position for a woman was lying in a bed on her back, giving birth. But I don't know if one of the sisters mentioned this particular verse, or after hearing their discussion, I read this verse myself, and then I saw see them upon the stools. I read see them upon the stools. And then as I read this verse, I said, stools. So that would mean that they were in a sitting, women, when they gave birth, they were in a sitting and an upright position for, see them upon the stools. So I was like, well, the scripture would support that the natural birthing position for a woman was sitting or squatting, because it does say stools. It didn't say see them upon the beds. It says stools. But, I was always used to women, my understanding was the natural birthing position was what you see here in these diagrams. As in modern times, these are the most popular birthing positions, the reclining position. That's what I always saw. That's what I always accepted as the natural way of giving birth. However, when I was watching Roots, now this was, this is the original Roots from 1977. And I saw where Kunta Kinte's mother was giving birth, but yet she was in a squatting position. She was squatting. And of course, with my Eurocentric, westernized mindset, I was thinking, oh, well, that's just the primitive way women gave birth. That's not the way women, should give birth. That was back then, people were not as civilized. So when I saw this scene, that's how I took it. So here's a quote from the American Journal of Public Health. And the title of the article is The Evolution of Maternal Birthing Positions. And you will see the author. So it says this: Most cultures throughout the world either use or have used such birthing positions as kneeling, squatting, sitting, and standing for labor and delivery. Earliest records of maternal birth positions show the parturient in an upright posture, usually squatting or kneeling. So as you do your research, you will see that yes, most cultures throughout the world, the women gave birth kneeling or squatting. And this is just from an Egyptian relief. This is a image here, and you will see this is an image of a woman on a birthing stool giving birth. This is an ancient depiction of a woman giving birth on a birthing stool in Egypt. This was the kind of stool that the Pharaoh was talking about. See them upon the stools. This is a birthing stool. And also, now this is from also a relief from a temple. It's the relief at the Temple of Esna in Egypt. And this is a depiction of Cleopatra. And I have the arrow pointing, this is Cleopatra here. And she's giving birth, and she's in a kneeling position, and she's being attended by 5 women as she's giving birth to her child. So they say the birthing chair dates back to the Babylonian culture of 2000 BC. And it then spread to many parts of the world. And in some parts of the world, various traditional birthing chairs are still used, while a modern version is now available in some Western hospitals. So yeah, even in modern times, there are still women who give birth on birthing chairs. And you will find this also in the American Journal of Public Health. And also, this is the title of the article and the author. And these are some images of ancient birthing chairs, as you can see. And it actually, reminds me a lot, especially this reminds me a lot of the toilet. So you think about it, it actually makes perfect sense. When a person is given, using a stool, they're squatting, they're sitting. So that means, but if you're lying down, we don't go to the bathroom lying down. I mean, unless we're sick or something, we're bedridden, but we don't go to the bathroom. We're not lying down. And if you think about it, it's in accordance with gravity. So if a woman is giving birth and the baby is coming out of her, and just like how our stool comes out of us, that's in line, that's in accordance with gravity. When she's lying down, that's going against gravity. So you think about it, when we go to the stool, we squat, we sit. So it would only make sense for a woman, for a natural birthing position for a woman is in a squatting or sitting position. So who changed the position of how women gave birth, and why? Why did it change? Who and why? Those are the 2 questions we need answering. Who changed it, and why did they change it? Well, I'm not saying if it's popular, but I guess some type of I won't say popular, but it's being said that King Louis XIV was responsible for the changing of the birthing positions. And I'll read this quote from, yet again, American Journal of Public Health, where it says, some scholars claim that the change in birthing positions was a perverted caprice of King Louis XIV, a contemporary of Marisol. Forgive me if I'm mispronouncing these names, and because these are French names. I don't know French, so please forgive me if I mispronounce these names. Marisol, since Louis XIV reportedly enjoyed watching women give birth. He became frustrated by the obscured view of birth when it occurred on a birthing stool, and promoted the new reclining position as we know today. He also insists in the male accoucheur. This is actually what they would call a male midwife or an obstetrician, someone who assists in childbirth. He also insisted on male accoucheurs attending the birth. So he wanted the men who were trained in, helping women give birth to attend the birth. The influence of the king's policy is unknown. although the behavior of royalty must have affected the populace to some degree. Louis XIV's purported demand for change did coincide with the changing of the position and may well have been a contributing influence. So he could have possibly influenced the position, of women giving birth. So let's continue. So now there was a conflict between, midwives and surgeons. And the surgeons were mainly the males, and the midwives were mainly the women. And this is also from the American Journal of Public Health, where it says conflict between midwives and surgeons and interaction of the disciplines of obstetric surgery and lithotomy surgery, which emerged 300 years ago, appear to have contributed to this change. The transition was greatly influenced by the French, who were at the time considered the leaders in obstetrical practice. So it looks like it was mainly the French who had a change in the changing of the position that women were in, changing of women's birthing positions. So we look like it was the who is the French, and the why it could possibly be King Louis the 14th. He wanted a better a viewing of how women gave birth. And also too, it was easier for, I guess, the surgeons to see it. With the woman lying on her back, it was easier for them to see. So I read that also. It was better for them. And also too, this is also from the American Journal of Public Health, where Guillemot had advocated reclining bed birthing in 1598, supposedly for women's comfort and to facilitate labor. The techniques used by surgeons to handle difficult births 50 years later could also be best performed in a reclining position. So it was better, like I said, it was better for the surgeons. This led to using the bed as the place to perform childbirth, and the reclining position developed into the one practiced for normal as well as complicated delivery. So this was when the surgeons took over. Because see, the surgeons, they had more of a scientific and a medical mindset. They had to see this and they had to examine this. So with the woman lying down, it was better for them to see everything. And then let's continue. This is also from the American Journal of Public Health from Marisol. So despite Guillemot's earlier advocacy for the reclining position and the influence of the barber surgeons, the person generally credited with greatly influencing the change in birth position is Francois Marisol. He claimed that the reclining position would be both more comfortable for the prurient women as well as more convenient for the accoucheur. So that's more the surgeons. So he was saying it would be more comfortable for the women and more convenient for the surgeons who were assisting the women in giving birth. So he's the main one, the Marisol. He's the main one that's credited for changing the revolutionizing, so to say, the birthing positions. And this is also from another quote from the American Journal of Public Health. So the controversial flat position, in contrast to reclining, now first began to be used in the United States. In the United States, their position was actually flat. Now this image here is more the reclining, but the United States was a more of the flat position. And this position differed from that used in European countries. And in Kazak's, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing it, 1884 obstetrics book, it is reported that women in the United States lie flat on their backs. French women lie in an inclined plane. English women lie on their left side, and German women use the birthing chair. So the German women actually use the birthing chair. And since European practices greatly influence those of the United States, it is understandable that American accoucheurs or surgeons would have, or midwives, male midwives, would have emulated the European practice of birthing in bed. Exactly why the United States deviated from the European reclining position is not clear, however. So it's not clear. So the United States is, the women lie flat on their back in the United States. So here's another quote from the same journal. And I'm sorry, part of it got cut off. But I'll go ahead and read it. The pros and cons of childbirth in the dorsal or lithotomy position have been discussed at least since Engelmann's time in 1882. However, little has been done until recently to encourage alternative birthing positions that may be better accepted by and more beneficial to the parturient woman, her child, and the research. By exploring the circumstances that existed when the maternal birth positions changed, we see, you don't see, but I'm reading it for you. We see that the position was altered as a result of the interprofessional struggles of surgeons and midwives, and by the development of obstetrics as affected by the practice of lithotomy. A position was implemented without verifying its appropriateness. So more as researchers do more research, they're realizing that the squatting position, the sitting position, is actually more beneficial than the lying position. And as I said before, this will make sense because when you're lying like this position like this, you're fighting against gravity. But when one woman is upright, when she's squatting or she's sitting, she's in accord with the gravitational pull. So that will help her, release the baby because it will be in accordance with gravity. And let's continue. Now, this is from a review circus. Okay, this is from the article is alternative birthing positions compared to the conventional position in the second stage of labor. And as I had said, this is, a diagram of a woman that's squatting. Research has indicated that compared to the supine position, that's where a woman's lying on her back, the duration of the second stage of labor is shorter in an upright position, that is squatting, sitting, or on a birthing stool or chair or kneeling. The descent of the fetus is aided by gravity, and the dimensions of the pelvic outlet are also increased in an upright position, reducing the chance of labor dystocia. So the need of episiotomy, these are medical terms, so excuse me if I mispronounce them, episiotomies, and assisted deliveries was also seen to be reduced with the upright position. So you think about it. Not just with gravity, but you think about it when a woman is squatting or kneeling, that would mean her pelvic is more spread. So that will also help in her giving birth and the baby with more ease. So, we think, with these modern technologies and this modern Western mindset, we think that it's always better, but it's not always better. Sometimes it's more harmful than the old and the ancient ways that our ancestor did things. So this was a very, interesting research. So let's connect it. Okay. And so this is just a diagram of the different, this is a multi-purpose birthing bed. So this is the different ways and positions that women can give birth. So now as people do more research, they're becoming more open to different birthing positions. And as you can see, this is a multi-purpose birthing bed. So if a woman, she's more comfortable giving birth in a reclining position, in a sitting position, or even lying flat, or whatever position, there's a birthing bed that can go and change in all kind of positions more suitable to the woman. So now women are coming, or even the medical world is becoming a little more open to different birthing positions because, it's really more about what's comfortable for the woman. because maybe the position that works good for one woman, it may not work for another woman. It also depends on her health, maybe even her age, or things like that. So I'm just glad to see that the medical, world is becoming a little more open. Now, personally, I've never given birth, so anyone who's given birth, and maybe you given birth in different positions, please feel free to leave a comment on my video and share your experience if you care to. If you care to share your experience, because see, I never gave birth, so I don't know. So I would love to hear from women who have given birth, especially those who've given birth in different positions, and to share which one was best for them. So this is my video, and I hope you enjoyed it. So until next time, stay blessed.